Alright.
Okay.
Let's try this again.
All right.
Let's try this again.
Try again.
It is Begbie.
Alright. In the bottom right corner.
And his opponent is going to be the legendary, quite beastly, Spectrum. Now, the map being KSS and all, you know, how excited are you to see when these back rocks will die?
Those back rocks are very easily abused in ZBT. Most Zergs tend to break them down, although whenever I play I tend to forget, which causes my downfall very often. I'm sure that Spectrum won't forget though, because he is far better than me.
He will not.
Yes.
He will not. Like I said, I played him, sent my army, and the rocks were already dead. With creep spread, with a giant roach army, and I'm just like, well, just fuck me.
He's just on the ball.
He doesn't miss a step.
He does not.
He really doesn't. Now, the question here is, are we going to get, you know, a late game scenario? Are we going to see Ultras out? Are we going to see Ghost Liberator? Or is Begbie going to try to finish off the Zerg player before he can get that ridiculously strong Hive Tech?
Begbie does tend to try more of the mid-game aggression kind of style. He does tend to delay his third in favor of doing a larger push. So I do think that the game will tend to be more decided in the mid-game as opposed to whether or not Begbie is going to have good ghost control versus Spectrums like Ultralisks. Although we will have to see if we do end up getting to that point in the game.
We do see the same opening from Begbie as he did before versus Blast. You know, he gets that Reaper, then he gets that Marine out to prevent the, I don't know, to kill the drone, to kill the Overlord.
Yeah, to
then he
prevent the Overlord scouting.
Right, and then he goes straight for the reactor. So nothing out of the ordinary so far, and from Spectrum, we know he's a great macro player. But I'm sure even a player like Spectrum probably has some gimmicky or a cheese build hidden somewhere in his stash, right?
Yes, I would imagine. I mean, if you just do the exact same build every game, then you get figured out pretty quickly.
That's true. You can become very predictable, and then your opponent tries to take advantage of the fact that he knows what you're up to, and then he tries to play around it. Alters his playstyle a little to really abuse the fact that you're not changing anything. Yeah, see, look, the rocks are already being shot. His firstlings, as soon as that Reaper went away, he knows that Reaper isn't going to bother me anymore. Let's kill the rocks.
Yep, and now that he's got speed, he goes and chases down the Reaper.
There we go. That Reaper's going to die. And unfortunately for Begbie, that Reaper died before he could get additional scouting information. All he saw was 4 lings. Didn't get into the base to see drone count. Didn't see the third base coming up. So unfortunately for Begbie, he didn't get as much scouting information as he could have with that Reaper before it died. So now Begbie is kind of like, alright, well, I'm pretty sure you did take a third base. But since I didn't see it, I'm going to have to send this SCV out and scout you.
Yeah.
And here we go. We are going to see Medevac Siege Tank. So I think it's going to be that 2 Medevac, 2 Siege Tank timing that most Terran players really love to do.
I think to start off with, he's just going to do a Wettermine drop, and then after that's repelled, he's going to back off and then do the 2 Medevac.
You're right about that. I completely missed the production of the Widowmine.
Yeah, that's what he did in his games versus me.
He did. He seems to like this build. I think.
He does.
But if he doesn't kill drones, he's not going to be able to accomplish much. I mean, is he going to try to cancel the third? Is that what he's aiming for? Looks like he's going to try to cancel the third.
How many queens does Spectrum have?
I mean, Spectrum currently, at the moment, he's still busy trying to kill those rocks, but he has 4 queens, which is... Oh my gosh! The Widowmine...
With the friendly fire.
The Widowmine not doing Begbie any favors, killing 4 lings, but at the cost of sending every single one of his marines into the red. And now these queens and roaches are just going to clean up.
Begbie has to be very careful with that medevac because it's very low and
yeah, and the queen 8 range is just it's insane. It's just very, very difficult.
He does manage to pick up, but the Widowmine's still there. Gets the shot on the queen, but just doing damage, not getting any kills.
I'm gonna check ops just for a second. Alright, everything's good.
Alright. Spectrum does send the corrosive vials to kill the Widowmine.
So unfortunately, the drop just did not do much. It brought the hatchery down to what, almost half health, but
Yeah.
he didn't get any additional kills. The Widowmine cleaned up properly, and I just don't know. Begbie, that drop, I think he would have done so much more had he just dropped it into the main base, forced the drones off the minerals. He could have even gotten a couple drone kills. The Widowmine, I feel, wouldn't have backfired like that.
Yeah, I feel like he probably should have sent it to the main, just because, like I said, there was just no drones at the third yet. Like, it was still being set up. I mean, if it gets a cancel, it's fantastic, but it's hard to kill like an entire hatchery as opposed to like a few drones.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way stimless Marines, 6 of them with 0/0 upgrades, force a cancel on a hatchery when it's nearing completion. It's just not possible. Now Begbie has loaded up 2 medevacs. 1 medevac not completely full yet, but he is going to fly over here. I'm guessing he's going to go for that third again, because the third is it did take some damage from that initial first attack. So maybe Begbie's thinking, alright, now I can just kind of go stim, maybe try to finish it off, catch him off guard before he can bring his army and defend this attack. Spectrum's army is over here, so
very out of
I mean, you can tell Spectrum.
Ooh,
he
Liberators.
just and Liberators from the okay, so Liberators from he
and
missed the corrosive bile.
The queens aren't doing anything.
He missed the corrosive bile, and now he's gonna stim in and kill a bunch of creep. Actually, he's not paying attention to this army as well as he could be.
He scanned and then killed no creep tumors. Kind of interesting. And
Stim is just completed. I think what happened was he couldn't really go in and attack yet. But he still hasn't cleaned up these double Liberators. Yeah, these queens are... he lost, I think, 3 queens. But he is getting a Spore Crawler up, and if Begbie doesn't pay attention, he's going to lose this one. It's in the range of the Spore Crawler, and it's at red health.
Still, I mean, 1 Liberator for... Oh, and he does pay attention and move the weakened Liberator.
He does! He keeps it alive, and this one... keeps it alive as well.
Yeah, so he loses literally nothing from that attack.
He does, and now
killing like multiple queens, some drones, and also killing some overlords and roaches in eggs.
And something to note here is he did not overextend. He picked up those Marines and sent them back home.
Exactly.
He killed some creep tumors, very nice. And while he's doing that, he's comfortably grabbing a 3rd base, and now he's just getting ready for a big push. 141 supply to 148 supply. The 2 players are pretty darn even right now. Spectrum took some damage from those Liberators. I'm very, very surprised, because when I was doing Liberator damage, you know, he was pretty fine.
But of course, Spectrum does have most of his supply in roaches, which are very supply inefficient. So
that's true.
The supplies don't tell the whole story. I do prefer Begbie's position right now.
It doesn't seem like Begbie has that many tanks, though, so that is pretty good news for Spectrum.
That's true.
TVZ can get really annoying for the Zerg player if they have to deal with 7 to 8 tanks, all with medevacs. I mean, it gets very annoying for them. So Begbie is going to push out. Combat Shield finishing up. Great timing here for Begbie. We're going to see... the Liberators grab position. Oh, Spectrum decides to go around and ignore the Liberators, but the tanks do get fire off, and he's going to stem in here. Try to fight off the corrosive bile. And I think Spectrum may not have engaged as well as he could have, because he took too many tank shots. The Liberators weren't even a part of the fight this time.
Yeah, and Spectrum's force just needs to run away.
And it looks like Spectrum is in a lot of trouble. He's going to lose this 4th hatchery here, so he's going to be forced to remain on 3 bases for a while. If Begbie decides to not push it, no, but he is going to try to finish it off.
And I think
he's going to try to finish off.
I think he's going to break it.
I think so too.
First, the Bile's taking out 1 Liberator. Actually,
interestingly enough, he kind of left too many tanks back here, though.
Yeah.
Those tanks could have been a huge help in this battle.
Pretty big mistake.
That is a big mistake, but I think he still has enough. And even if he doesn't have enough, he did lose that 4th base, which is huge for a Zerg player. Lose that 4th base like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, those tanks could have helped out in that battle. I think he would have won that battle if he just had those tanks there. What'd you do?
I changed it to production time.
Oh, did I have it on units?
Yeah, you had it on units. And so Spectrum's Ultra Cavern is done, and he is making chitinous plating, but until that kindness is done, those ultras aren't going to be the overpowered.
And I don't think Begbie's going to give Spectrum the time to get Ultralisk. I think he's just going to continue to keep on pressuring like this.
Yeah.
And force Spectrum to stay on Roach Ravager.
2-2 finishing up for Begbie now, and so now they are on even upgrades, and I think Begbie definitely has the better army as of now.
Begbie's 2-2 to the
2-2 of
2-2 of Spectrum.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, and no, drop here in the main base. Going after the Ultralisk Cavern!
Cancel the
He's
kindness.
going to get it before the kindness plating can finish. That is huge!
Only one ultra in production.
It was
and that won't even have kindness.
It was the one saving grace for Spectrum. Getting back into this game, plus 8 armor Ultralisk would definitely have forced Begbie to go back. Wow, that medevac almost died. That was the one with the units in there.
Begbie thankfully opting to drop out the units before that happens, and Spectrum is taking the fourth closer to Begbie, which of course is going to be very pushable.
It's going to be very difficult to defend that fourth base location. Begbie
Begbie doesn't even care if
he's going straight to the third base, and these Ultralisks, he's not even scared of them. Yeah. They don't have the armor upgrade, and I think this is it. I think he's just going to push straight into a victory. Good game. Begbie is going to take game 1.
Yes, he does.
Oh. As a Zerg player, I gotta ask you, Exarch, how did you feel about Spectrum and the fact that he wasn't able to get out those Ultras in time?
I feel like David Kim needs to do some balance changes.
Huh. Interesting.
No, overall, Spectrum, I think, just took a pretty bad engagement off creep when Begbie was first pushing out. Towards his fourth, it took a very bad engagement and just like lost lots of his army and only killed maybe half of Begbie's. And from there, like, I just don't think that there was much Spectrum could have done except for just like defended and basically hoped that Begbie messed up.
It's very interesting because we both agreed that he shut down the 6 Marine Widow Mine drop very well.
Yes.
Took no damage from it and was in a great position. But those 2 Liberators, I think, kind of threw off Spectrum. He lost a lot of Queens to those Liberators, lost a chance to inject, and he had to keep focusing on those Queens. And then the Marines getting rid of creep like that, I think Begbie did a great job of keeping Spectrum busy and trying to focus on too many things at once.
Yeah, the 2 Liberators at the natural were a huge part of the game. They just did so much damage.
Alright, now, I'm going to call it here. I'm going to automatically call it. But when I was playing against Spectrum on Frost, he did your build.
He did?
The super fast Hive Ultralisk build. And destroyed me with it. It was on Frost, just like it is now. I'm going to call it. Spectrum's going to do it. He's down 1-0. He knows the build is super sick. And Terran, if they're not ready for it, will just die to it.
I think a lot of it depends on the spawning positions, because if it's cross spawn, I think Zerg is favored, but if it's vertical or horizontal, Zerg is at a pretty massive disadvantage because you basically can't take a fourth almost.
It was a cross spawn for me. I was struggling like crazy to get across the map.
It is a cross spawn.
Alright, so we're in for a really good game. I guarantee you this is going to be a great game. We are going to start off with the Terran player from University of Florida. It is going to be Begbie, taking game 1 off of this man here from Legion of Fallen. It is going to be Spectrum. Now, game 1 we saw a lot of nice micro from both players, a lot of good back and forth. But the one thing we didn't really see was we didn't see Spectrum attack.
True.
Begbie was the one doing all the aggression, but Spectrum was just kind of stuck at home trying to defend to make sure that he could get out that Ultralisk army that he wanted. Do you think we'll see something different here? Do we think we'll see Spectrum decide to be more aggressive?
I don't think so. Just overall, I feel like Zerg can't really do too many like large mid-game pushes because their mid-game pushes are just weaker than the Terrans, but if they defend well, then they can get very far ahead of Terran, which is usually what most Zergs go for, is to play more of a defensive style.
Do you think there's any chance we might see Muta Ling Bang?
I don't think so. Unfortunately, Liberators kind of shut down Mutas pretty hard unless you have Jaedong level splits.
Unless you have Jaedong level splits, exactly.
Which, as much as I like Spectrum, I don't think he has Jaedong level splits.
One thing to note here, Begbie patrolling that SCV, so we could see if that Overlord's coming from this 7 o'clock position here.
I think he did a little bit.
But no. I think he moved the SCV a little too quick. But he did.
I think it would have been fine. I was looking at the Overlord going north for the timing, but I think it would have been correct. I mean, I wouldn't imagine he would be doing it if he didn't know the timings for it. So
that's true. That's true. But he did need to build that command center.
Yes.
You can't wait to build that. You have to build it ASAP. It looks like Begbie's doing that same opening. He's got that Reaper out with the Scout, the 1 Marine out, and then now he's going to add on a reactor here. As soon as you get that 50 gas, yep, there it is. I mean, so it looks like just standard opening from both players so far.
It's a strong opening. And Begbie realizing that it is indeed cross spawns.
And unfortunately, there's not much this Reaper's going to be able to do. The Queen's out, and he already has 4 Lings.
Yeah.
And I think Spectrum wants Begbie to try to go around, and then maybe see if he can catch the Reaper off guard.
I don't think Spectrum thinks Begbie will. I think just as like a safety measure.
Ooh, very close to losing the Reaper. And if this Reaper decides to go up this cliff, he's gonna lose it. The Lings are right there waiting for it.
But Begbie deciding to be more conservative and backing off.
No, I think he definitely made the right choice here. It's so easy to lose this Reaper if you're not paying attention. You gotta back off, let the Reaper heal. But once Metabolic Boost finishes, it's really not gonna matter.
Yeah. Because unless you micro, and unless you just basically micro perfectly against the Speedlings,
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's the dead Reaper.
That was pretty quick.
Now he is doing the exact same opening: 6 Marine, Widowmine, and now we're gonna see what's he gonna do. Is he gonna go for the 3rd again? Because we saw from King Sejong Station that did not go very well for him. Oh, is this Widowmine gonna get these Lings? Oh, the Lings are just kind of standing there right now. If they move up, they will get hit by the Widowmine. Taking a 3rd base, Spectrum, as he's teching up to his Roach Warren, and oh, looks like the Widowmine got picked up just in the nick of time. Oh, and is he going to prevent this bunker from being built? No, he's not. It's going to finish off in time.
Yeah, the SCV's on the wrong side for Spectrum and the Marines.
Now, Spectrum did scout the medevac. If he was paying attention to his Lings, the medevac flew right over the Lings, and because he knows that that was the opening Begbie went for in game 1, I mean, Spectrum should be aware of what's going on.
Yeah, Spectrum already has two Spore Crawlers in production. He's getting more Queens. He's getting more Roaches. He's going to be very well prepared for this drop.
It looks like Begbie is going to go hit that 3rd base again. But this time, Spectrum's got his Queens ready. Oh, and he's morphing in Ravagers. He's going to be more than prepared for this attack. Oh, I thought he was going to use his Overlord to bait out the Widowmine attack. Oh, that seemed that seemed a little. Oh, but he's got the transfuses. Yeah, it was a very interesting decision. He could have just killed the Widowmine right away with just the Ravagers themselves, and he didn't need to send 3 Roaches if he was going to bait out a Widowmine. He could have just sent 1. Here comes the Liberator, but like we said, the Spore Crawler is already up, and look at that. Spectrum saw it coming, and he's already ready for it.
Yep, and Liberator is under fire, and before Liberator even gets a single shot off.
Yeah, he's just going to have to back off.
Yeah, backs off.
And here's the 3rd base from Begbie. Still hasn't turned it into an orbital command yet, so, you know, like we said, this is a difficult position for the Terran player when it's cross spawn. This is very hard for the Terran player to move across the map and do damage to the Zerg player. So we're gonna see what Begbie tries to do to overcome this disadvantage.
Oh, looks like there was a Liberator in the natural of Spectrum, but it got picked off by a Queen. Only 2 drones.
Yeah, it does look like it died, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it died.
It did.
It did. And Only 2 drone kills, not an efficient trade.
Not at all.
Losing that Liberator, that expensive Liberator for 2 drones, definitely not worth it for Begbie. And it looks like Begbie's going to take this expansion
As opposed to Spectrum Scouting.
Yeah, as opposed to that expansion, which is an interesting decision on Begbie's part. But it looks like he wants to go for the aggressive expansion rather than the passive one.
That's true.
This does mean that he's vulnerable to dual attacks, because Spectrum could attack from the left or he could attack from the right, and it's very hard to kind of SimCity here. Lots of room for Zerglings to run in and kill SCVs. So very interesting decision from Begbie to take the harder to defend expansion.
That's true, although it doesn't seem like Spectrum is gearing up to be doing many aggressive run-bys. His Infestation Pit just finished. He's getting 1-1 for his Roaches as opposed to his Lings. And he's taking a 4th.
No,
so looks like he just wants to let the 3rd
Begbie is going to stim and try to take down this hatchery, but the reinforcements of Spectrum has arrived here to defend this. I think he was trying to go for a double drop, but I mean, look at this. Spectrum doing beautifully. He split his army in half and shut down both drops. They haven't been able to deal any damage. And look at the health of that medevac.
Spectrum is defending far better than he did game 1. He's taken almost no damage.
You're absolutely right about that. And look at the supply right now, 132 to 109, and Spectrum barely lost any drones other than those 2 drones. So he is just, his economy is untouched right now.
Looks like we do have pathogen glands and 3 infestors on their way.
Yeah, we're going to see Roach Ravager Infestor later transition into Ultra Tech, and unfortunately for Begbie, he's going to have a very hard time trying to win this game if he's not able to distract the Zerg player from being able to comfortably tech up to Hive.
2-2 just now starting for Spectrum. They are both tied in upgrades, although does Begbie have armor upgrades? He does. Okay, so he's just starting +1 attack for right now, and as I'm saying that, he starts +1 armor. But overall, not really favored either way. Although there will be a small window where
isn't it +2? Blue is +2, right?
Did I say +1?
Yeah.
Oops.
Okay.
Okay, I meant +2.
Yeah, I was like +1.
No,
9 minutes in, really?
That'll be pretty bad.
I'll be like, oh my gosh, Begbie, you can't win this.
But yeah, Spectrum is just basically staying on par with the upgrades. So, and his Hive is almost done. So it looks like Spectrum's running.
It looks like we're going to see.
Might catch him out.
We're going to see the very beautiful fungal growth.
And
catch the tanks and the bio. Oh my goodness, this is terrible for Begbie.
Okay, that was
I think that was
incredible fight for Spectrum.
I think that was a game-ending fungal.
I agree.
I don't see Begbie coming back from that.
I mean, that was
he lost so much.
That's 4 tanks dead.
Yeah, he lost so much. And look at how much he's stimming his army right now.
Only 1 medevac. That medevac is on overtime, and
I think that's it. I think the GG's going to be called. We're going to have a game 3 here.
That's it, yeah.
Spectrum takes the victory on Frost. GG! Spectrum will take the victory. I'm blown away by how well Spectrum defended everything. He defended the 6 Marine Widow Mine. He defended the double medevac full of Marines. Then he got the money fungal shot on that army. I mean, Spectrum played this game. I don't think he could have played it any better.
That was one of the best fungals I have seen.
In a
long time.
It was great. It was a great fungal, and Spectrum kind of blundering on the first map totally made up for it with this second game performance. It was an incredible showing of just a Zerg player who refuses to be tilted by a game 1 loss, getting it together. And I think I interviewed on that too, right? I asked you, like, how did you fight the tilt, losing game 2, was it?
True, yes.
Right? I asked you that, and you just said,
basically you just
focused, and you just gotta do what you know how to do. Yeah, right.
You gotta stick with what you know.
Exactly. So now Begbie is the one who lost. So now it's time to see if he's gonna tilt. Now it's time to see.
Begbie commenting on the fungal in the chat.
I mean, seriously, that fungal. It was. I think it was one fungal. It was one fungal.
It was one fungal, and then
Yeah.
Crucible took out two Tankovacs, and then it was another fungal that killed another two Tankovacs.
I think that battle would definitely... I still think Spectrum would have won that battle. His army was insane. But I think it would have just gone a lot more even of a trade had Begbie just kind of seen that fungal coming and split his army beforehand.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he knew about the Infestors until he saw them fungaling his entire army.
He probably didn't. And honestly, had Spectrum gone for that fast Hive Ultralisk build that we were discussing earlier, I think Begbie would have died. He just didn't have anything.
Yeah.
And his aggression got shut down so hard, he just couldn't accomplish anything. But we are going to go ahead into the final game of this best of 3 series, and it is going to be on Galactic Process. It is one of the new maps, 2016 Season 3, and I don't know, how's the feedback on so far? I feel like people hate this map.
I do not like it. I have a veto.
I have it vetoed as well. Maybe I will unveto it now that they finally added in the rocks.
Oh, they added rocks. I wasn't.
Yeah. The original idea was to add rocks here, which would have been very stupid because then you can just place tanks here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Goodness
rocks here, great choice, right? Great choice, which it prevents this area from being abused. Nonetheless, I mean, how is this map any different from Cloud Kingdom?
You have a few more rocks, like outside of your third. You have rocks both towards your opponent and towards the side. So your third's kind of like in a little nestled position.
It's very true.
But other than that, it is very similar to Cloud Kingdom with different levels of height, where Terran can just basically abuse them with like tanks on top.
I'm curious to see if Begbie's going to be able to get over the fact that he lost so badly on this map before when he played against Blast. I don't know if you watched that game,
I was
but
not, I was playing versus Spectrum at the time.
Basically what happened was Begbie went for a reactored Hellion opening. Very standard TVZ, but he walled off here, made a mistake, and Blast ran in like 14 lings and just killed all his SCVs.
Oh.
Killed his mules, and then Begbie brought his Hellions back, but he didn't micro them. And they got surrounded, and they all died. So, a game that had potential to be 20 minutes long ended in less than 8 minutes. It was just
pretty severe.
Yeah, it was just. I'm wondering if Begbie's going to be able to, just kind of forget about that game.
Yeah.
And start over anew with a fresh mindset, because that was just a bad loss for Begbie.
Well, either way, it looks like Begbie's doing the same opening as well as Spectrum. So, like we're going to be seeing a very similar game, at least starting out.
Here's the factory, and this time he built the factory very close to the barracks, so we may be seeing reactored Hellions here. Maybe Begbie is saying, "Alright, let's try it again, and let's see if this time I cannot fuck up the wall and let lings in."
Yeah. Was his wall just like down and?
There was a space. There was a hole.
Oh, there was a gap.
There was a hole, and he didn't have a SimCity here at all. So there was just nothing he could do. The lings just ran in, and they had a field day, killing workers, killing mules, killing marines, killing Hellions. Begbie had nothing. Blast had a over 30 supply advantage by the end of that battle.
And looks like he is indeed going to put the factory on the reactor. So
well,
we will see Hellions.
We're going to see Hellions, and I'm also seeing a starport here with a Tech Lab add-on. So we could also see Banshee transition, or a Banshee follow-up to the reactored Hellions.
Oh, I'm pretty sure a game like this was the game before I vetoed this map, where the Terran just sent a bunch of Hellions and then they sent a bunch of Banshees, and I was like, I hate this map. I never want to see this again. So it is indeed a strong build.
You didn't have roaches to take care of the Hellions?
No, I did not.
You didn't have roaches. I see.
Unlike Spectrum, I tend to go more Ling Bling. Which of course Hellions just have a field day.
Right, absolutely.
As long as you micro them a little bit.
As long as you micro them and don't let Banelings get us nice surround on the Hellions, yes. Now Spectrum is going to send in an Overlord. This has speed, so he's going to be able to scout a very good portion of Begbie's. In fact, he's probably going to scout everything, to be honest.
Yep. Spectrum sees the stim timing. He sees no third command center, which tells him that he's definitely going to be expecting some aggression very shortly. And that's going to tip him off to start Roach production once his Roach Horn is done, which will be in right now.
We do see a Liberator coming from this starport, so we're not going to be seeing Cloak Banshee at all because he decided to use the Tech Lab to get Stim. But we don't see Medivacs, which means he's not going for that Medivac timing that Terran players like to do. Instead,
all right, looks like there's a drop in Spectrum's third. Or no, it's just
actually no. He's just going straight for the main. But I mean, Spectrum saw it.
Yeah.
So he's ready for it.
To go to
and
the main,
remember, this is plus 8 range Queens right now. There's no way this Medivac's getting back home alive.
Oh, it's a
Widowmine. But the Widowmine is not going to get a nice shot off. Oh, it's going to go to the Roaches, and the Spore Crawler does see the Widowmine.
7 drones killed, though. That's, I mean, ideally you would want more.
You would want more, and honestly, the fact that the Widowmine hit the Roaches is just a big no-no for Begbie. That's not what he wanted at all.
Yeah. However, I think 7 drones killed, like, it's okay. Like, I feel like Begbie's neither behind nor ahead after that.
Now, the Liberator is flying in here, and the Spore Crawler is positioned over here. So, yeah, Spectrum is going to have to reposition that Spore Crawler.
Oh, and Begbie not.
Oh, but there's 3 Queens and a Spore Crawler. I think the Liberator is going to die. The Liberator does die. The plus 8 range is just too strong. That Liberator could not get away fast enough. And unfortunately, this means that Begbie's drop did not do enough damage, and that his Liberator did no damage and just died. That's a very expensive unit that you really need to be able to do something with before it can die.
I'm seeing more of game 2 right now rather than game 1.
I am as well. You're right. This seems like Spectrum is just doing very well. He's just kind of shutting down all of Begbie's aggressions, and no third base from Begbie. No third base. He's got 5 racks behind this. Siege tank, Medivac on the way. So I think he's gonna go for a 2 base all in. And the question now is, what is Spectrum going to do? Is he going to... I mean, we know that he's going to stay home and defend.
Yeah, well, we do have a triple drop coming down to the third, and Spectrum, I believe he did see it because he has 10 Roaches in production.
He definitely saw it.
Yeah, the Queen's a little bit out of position.
Does he... he just doesn't have enough to take down Roach Queen.
One Medivac.
Oh, the Medivac died, and the Medivac didn't even... And another one's going to die.
Yeah.
Begbie's just not... He didn't kill any drones. Yeah. He didn't kill any drones, and he lost his entire army to just Roaches, which is just a bad trade for Begbie. And remember, he has no third base behind this, which means he is all in.
Yeah, Begbie's going to need to do some serious damage now. Now, the one thing he does have going for him is Begbie does have +1 weapons done, whereas Spectrum is still only halfway through 1-1. So he does have this window of like a minute or two where he is ahead.
He has a small timing,
but I just don't think it's going to be enough. There's a third going down now for Begbie, so I think he's thinking like, all right, this is just not going to work. I need to do something else right now.
Yeah, but it looks like he's still going to commit to an attack. He needs to keep the pressure on. He does need to keep the pressure on, and I think he stemmed to try to kill this Overlord so that he could prevent Spectrum from scouting the fact that he was moving out. But I mean, look at these Overlord placements for Spectrum. I mean, he's just ready for anything, and he killed the Rockseer. So Begbie's gonna have to play this very smart. If he positions his tanks and Marines wrong, then Spectrum's just gonna get a very nice round.
Looks like Begbie's making a beeline for the 4th, but Spectrum sees us where he's going with the Queens at least. Although I don't know where the rest of his Roaches are.
He's gonna have to cancel this though. Yeah. But then now here we go. We're gonna have a very giant battle on our hands. What is this?
I think.
It doesn't. Oh, this tank isn't sieged.
Oh, that's.
Oh, that hurts a lot.
That hurts, yeah.
2 siege tanks versus 3 siege tanks. Big difference.
Yeah.
Big difference. And
now
now
Spectrum has a huge
50 supply lead for Spectrum. Gonna restart that 4th base production. And I think Begbie's just far too behind at this point to even make a comeback now. And it does look like he's going for Hive Tech now, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. It looked like at first Spectrum was making 2 layers. And
Not
I was a little bit confused.
Not enough drones have been killed.
Yeah. Looks like this drop is going to see the 5th base trying to go down.
Yeah, and
Begbie does not.
Spectrum was moving out, but the minute he saw the drop, he pulled back. Oh my goodness! And once again, these medevacs are not going to get away. I think Begbie's going to have to call it. He's just losing far too much and trading for very little.
Oh, but there is a drop in the natural of Spectrum now.
But I think it got shut down hard.
Only 3 drones.
I think it got shut down. Look at this. He's got his army here, his army here. He's got overlords placed everywhere. I mean, Spectrum is just playing this perfectly right now.
Yeah, it looks like Spectrum's going for another Roach Ravager infestor push, like he did in Game 2, and it looks like he just wants to end this now. He's had enough of this dropping nonsense.
Yeah, I feel like with Begbie's decision to do a 2-base all-in, his drop at the 3rd needed to do much more damage than it did. And the minute his drop got stopped so easily, that was when Spectrum pretty much had the game won from there on.
And Begbie moving out at the same time as Spectrum moving in.
Oh gosh.
I think Begbie's army is just far too out of.
I mean, Begbie can't pull back. Oh no, is he pulling back? Oh, he's just pathing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The indecision. Like, he sees Spectrum just like knocking at his door.
Oh my goodness! And
like,
Spectrum's not even saying, "Hey, let's base trade. I'm gonna stop your army right here."
Yeah.
He's saying, "I'm gonna stop it right here." And the tanks are still in the medevacs.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! And Begbie caught off guard.
The single roach holding the.
And I think this is it. Bungle again. This is over.
Raining down.
177 supply to 91 supply. Only a 3rd base for the Terran.
Doubled supply.
No additional tech from the Terran player at all.
2-2 going down for both players, but Spectrum also has Aspire and an Ultralisk Cavern, but Begbie is not giving up yet because this is the last game.
Right. I mean, the Ultralisk Cavern doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Spectrum just has way too much.
Yeah.
And he's going to clean it out. He's going to win this Best of 3 Series 2-1. Begbie did win Game 1, but congratulations to Spectrum. He brings it back. He brings it back, and he takes a 2-1 commanding victory.
Well played.
Yeah, I gotta say, I feel like these two, their skills are pretty darn good. I feel like they're pretty darn well matched up. If
they are both far better than me.
Yes, if Begbie had just been able to do a little more damage, I think he could have he could definitely have clinched the series. But Spectrum said no. I'm gonna stay home and perfectly defend all your aggression.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Queens are a good unit.
The man himself is here. Spectrum taking that 2-1 victory over Begbie. We gotta have a winner's interview now. Game 1. Tell us what was kind of going through your mind. King Sejong Station. You killed those back rocks early. You had a really nice game going on. You shut down the 6 Marine Widow Mine drop. Things were looking pretty darn well from you, but then it seems like the engagements did not quite as go as you planned it to.
Yeah. Well, what happened was that, first of all, I didn't have spores in my main, my natural, my 3rd, because I dealt with the Widow Mine drop, so I didn't feel like a spore was necessary. But then the Liberators got me off guard because of that spore. And because he was killing so many drones, I spent most of my larva droning, and I wasn't paying attention to my supply limit, so I was supply blocked at about 150 supply at like 9.5 minutes, when I should be maxed with 2-2 and Infestors and Hive already finished. So that was kind of rough for me, and when he pushed my 4th, he didn't just kill the 4th, but he attacked when I was 50 supply down with no fungal, so he got a really good engagement there, and that's kind of what gave him the game, really. He had more army than I did on equal upgrades, and he just massacred it. And that was what allowed him to get on top of my 4th, kill it, and then on top of my 3rd, and deny some mining. And I had to pull queens, which meant that no injections, and it kind of snowballed from that point.
Exarch and I were both talking, and we felt that had that Ultralisk Cavern stayed alive, had you gotten the chitinous plating, yes, you were down, but once those Ultralisks with +8 armor came out, we had a feeling you still had a chance to get back into this game.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate for me that I put it right next to my spawning pool in the back of my main, and he happened to drop there, and it just...
No, I saw it. I specifically went there.
Oh, that's what you went for?
Yeah.
Begbie, sit down. Get in the shot.
I didn't realize that's what you were aiming for. I thought that was just like dumb luck, and I was like, crap. Well, that Ultralisk Cavern was like my last hope in that game, and when I lost it...
I scanned your main, I saw that, I was like...
Gotta kill that Cavern!
He's the kind that's playing good, so I'm fucked.
That building that has caused Begbie so many troubles.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, well, congratulations, Begbie. You did win that game.